Well, hello everybody, Dutch blockchain community. Welcome at KPMG. Oh, that's pretty fast. So, you have arrived at a pretty special moment in time at KPMG, right? You must have seen the signs outside. It's our 100-year anniversary, right? So this guy, Pieter Kleinveld, is the K of KPMG, and he founded the Dutch arm of the company 100 years ago. But let's have a look at his world. So the world he was living in 100 years ago would be, transaction recording. It's much more simple than it is today, but basically it's double entry bookkeeping, right? That was invented quite a long time ago. If we look at the value transfer system 100 years ago, we would still see the banking system, right? The correspondent banking system, which was invented by the Medici Bank a very, very long time ago. Yesterday, we had a great tour by Simon on historic events in the city of Amsterdam. That's actually the place where the share was born, right? The VOC in 1602. Pretty much how trust was organized in these days. So trust is historically organized at organization level. And actually, the fact that there is something like a stock was the origin of the external audit profession to begin with, right? Because if shareholders are not the same as company management, you need somebody to verify company management. Hey, that's pretty much our business, right? So if we fast forward 100 years in the world we live today, we still see basically the same trust model, right? It's much more complicated. And, I come from the banking industry. Actually, I worked at ING for 20 years. I worked in the second line of defense, in the first line of defense for about 5 years with management, installing controls there. We have the second line of defense with all kinds of risk departments monitoring the first line of defense. Then I spent 14 years in the internal audit department of ING. I was an external auditor for 1.5 years. This is the trust world we live in today, right? A pretty complicated system. Trust is organized at organization level, but the core concepts are basically unchanged. Right? Well, we're here today for blockchain, and because we're pretty enthusiastic about this crazy invention by Satoshi Nakamoto. But what does it really do? So there's a few elements that are really inspiring, and I think it's more inspiration than a solution at this stage. We're early days in the blockchain journey. But creating a single source of truth, right? I mean, yesterday evening, I was having dinner with the guys of HP. Fascinating story, right? If we look at the banking industry, where I come from, we have about 35,000 banks globally, right? Those guys of HP have 2/3 market share in the core banking infrastructure. It's called HP Tandem. We have 35,000 banks, each operating basically similar core infrastructure. Why did we organize stuff this way? Right? That's a valid question that's being raised after this invention of Satoshi Nakamoto. Then digitizing assets. To me, Bitcoin is the first example of a truly digital asset that you can exchange peer-to-peer. This whole journey that we're talking about, and World Economic Forum now talking about what we can do with blockchain technology, is it about the blockchain itself, or is it about creating value chain IT platforms where we can exchange digital assets in a much easier way? So cryptographically secure transactions. I mean, you know the story. You've just had the Bitcoin for Dummies exercise. I think the key part here, it's an inspiration. The open source protocol hasn't been broken yet. Can we use this in a way that actually makes sense in the business setting? And then something we as auditors and accountants get pretty excited about, triple entry accounting. The system that we've been using for 500 years is basically double bookkeeping entry. So we're trying to control things happening in a single organization. If we create this shared ledger, theoretically, if we as KPMG buy this chair next to Chris, and the company delivering this chair actually sends out the offer to us, cryptographically signed with the public-private key combination, and we would actually accept that with our public-private key combination, and that would be the basis for the entire further transaction, and most importantly for the general ledger. It sounds incredibly boring to you guys, but for us, as external auditors, that means we have external confirmations with everything that happens in the entire general ledger. guys, that would be one of the most dramatic changes in the profession of external audit. So it challenges the trust model. It challenges the question whether trust can actually be organized at transaction level. So that also challenges pretty much everything, well, quite a lot of what we are doing in this building today. So why is KPMG inspired by this blockchain dream? Because the trust model is changing. So that's why we launched KPMG Digital Ledger Services.
The technological development named blockchain sparked a new wave of digital innovation. It is easy to see why. Many potential use cases continue to be identified and explored. At KPMG, we believe your organization can benefit from the effective use of blockchain technology. We have already tackled the complexity of securing pensions and disability budgets. Now we navigate you through this process in 3 phases: strategic prioritization, use case development, and production. In the first phase, we empower your organization with blockchain education. This is crucial to accurate validation and strategic prioritization of the use cases. This will result in a thorough business case. In the second phase, we focus on going from proof of concept to a tested prototype. We test the technology against different requirements such as scale, transparency, privacy, and security. When these requirements are met, the proof of concept is expanded to a coded and tested prototype. The final phase is taking the right steps while prioritizing business process continuity. KPMG's expertise in risk assessment, IT security, assurance, and data analytics will ensure maximum value and system dependability. During the entire process, we team up with our 2 partners, Sigika and Microsoft. Sigika specializes in the implementation of blockchain technology, while Microsoft provides us with their optimized multiple blockchain protocols cloud platform, Azure. Together, we can make sure you seize the full potential of blockchain. Contact us for more information on our digital ledger services, and soon you will embrace this new technology.
Well, that's, as you would expect, a very nice marketing video, right? But what does this mean in practice? I'd like to give you one example, and the example concerns the guy sitting over there, Peter Kieveron. This is the typical senior KPMG guy, right? Nice suit, nice glasses, 28 years of experience in the pension industry, leading our 35 FTE pension team. And we kidnapped the guy to the Dutch blockchain hackathon in Groningen. So what we did there is we take the senior KPMG experts and we try to sit together with them. Try to see how introducing a shared ledger would actually impact their industry. So we came up with this pivot concept combining the Payment Service Directive 2.0 and what we see happening in the blockchain industry to create a vision on how we could actually create a portal that incorporates future financial information with your current financial information, allowing all kinds of warnings to be issued you've never had before. So a much more interactive version of the current pension overview we're getting. Together with our friends at Sigika, we developed this prototype during the Dutch blockchain hackathon, and then, of course, we created this nice publication with this grand view out there, basically asking the pension industry to liaise with us to actually try and start building, realizing this concept. That's pretty much how we view blockchain. So what we're doing here is we're leveraging the business and trust skills of our 180,000 people. Yes, maybe the trust concept of the old days, but they know their business pretty well. Together with the building capabilities of Sigika and the proven secure cloud platform of Microsoft. So what have we been doing? We'll talk about the journey on the PGB budget later on in the business track. So I very much invite you to come and have a look at that. It's an exciting story, right? Those of you living in the Netherlands know PGB is basically a synonym for, well, one of the not so well-organized processes in the Netherlands, I guess. It's wonderful to see what we can do there with blockchain technology. We presented this view to the Secretary General of the Ministry of Healthcare in the Netherlands, and next week we'll announce that together with a new city in the Netherlands, we'll actually set the next step in this research. I've spoken about our pivot concept for the pension sector. Internally, we've launched FitChain. As part of the centennial, all of the KPMG staff have received a Fitbit, and we now introduced the employee reward system based on this, where yes, you're getting the benefits, but no, KPMG doesn't know who's getting the benefits, right? So KPMG wants to stimulate healthy behavior within the company without knowing who's actually receiving the benefits there. Maybe our most exciting project would be the InnoCube one, which I will all tell you about at next year's conference. Not this time. We're a little bit too enthusiastic about that one. And there's quite a number of projects like Funds DLT from Luxembourg, Trade Finance from Australia, and the Mortgage process from the US. We have a stand outside where we can show all of the demos to you guys. So this is our story. We're inspired by blockchain technology to build a new trust concept for the 21st century, and we'd very much like to do that together with you guys. Thanks very much.
So, did you all type in questions for Dennis? So that will be very interesting to see. Hey, your colleagues at the accounting side, the role of the accountants in 20 years with blockchain, how will it change?
Well, it's an interesting question.
Yeah, interesting.
You know, everybody says blockchain.
You are 100 years old, so.
Yeah, and we'll need to see whether we'll be getting 200 years old, right?
Yeah.
But is blockchain really without trusted third parties in there? I think it's about digitizing assets, right? We have the cadastre sitting right here. I saw Jacques this morning. Bert is around as well. I think, how do you put a house in a blockchain? You need a pretty big bulldozer to shove it in there, right? Or do we need to create a digital representation of the house? And who's going to secure the link between the real world and the blockchain?
Yeah, so that everywhere there's the real world and the blockchain, there's trusted third parties which need to have it to put it in there.
So whenever you have a trusted third party, you know, you might want to have an external validator to see whether that trust is actually granted. And
so you have more work.
Maybe we'll see. We might have a very changing role.
Yeah, you really need trusted third parties. But the interesting thing is the blockchain is by design secure. And that's really different, right? I mean, and you're as accountant, they design organizations that they are by design secure. And now this needs to be put into IT systems. So that's actually also more of your jobs.
Yeah, I guess so. So that's basically the story I just tried to tell you, right, on how to make this transformation. But blockchain is only secure for digital assets, not for real-world assets. So we need to make the link from the real world to the digital world, and then we can talk about the benefits of blockchain technology, not before that.
Question here: is any of your this is the $10,000 question always? Is any of your projects going live or being tested? Are you going out of the POC phase? You know, the proof of concept. We Dutch are always in POCs. We do POCs everywhere. Proof of concept here and there. And we think about it for a long time before we implement it. Is something going live? And if not, how long will it take before a real project goes live? Yeah.
Well, Chris is smiling already, right? You know, in all honesty, I started my blockchain journey with Mark at ING, right? That's 3 years ago. I think ING is pretty inspired, doing a lot of things. I haven't seen anything in production yet from ING yet. I've been relatively successful, I think, at engaging the KPMG partners in the company. So now we finally have a business line to actually work on this. We launched our partnership in April. It's relatively early days. So none of our projects are actually realized. But I think the strategy we're taking, we're inspired to build value chain IT platforms that are much more efficient than currently. Mm-hmm. That's the key focus. Whether that requires a blockchain, yes or no.
1, 2, 3 years. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Good question. Well, I'd be hoping in 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Takes a while. Okay. With a new, why a new consortium instead of joining one of the many existing? I mean, the National Blockchain Alliance here in the Netherlands. Are you part of that?
We've been in meetings with them, yes.
No, not yet. Yeah, so why not? And why you have now, I mean, there was also, people ask, what is that third party? There was one party which was, but why are you not part of that? Or how is that consortium, did you have to be invited or something like that?
I think that's basically a business model question, right? I mean,
you have to pay for it to be part of it.
Exactly, you know, and preferably we'd like to be paid to build stuff.
Yeah, that's I know that model, okay. Let's see, any more questions? Oh yeah, well, the identity question. You know, that is the big, if we have identity, if we can basically prove who we are on the blockchain in an easy way, do you see many areas in that, many projects in that arena? We're going to talk look at a couple of them.
You know, I found it very interesting that RIVG, the Dutch Identity Association, right, currently managing identities, is so much looking into this right now. To me, the two things that we really need to make this blockchain dream work is digital identity and a form of true digital currency. And preferably not issued by Satoshi Nakamoto or Vitalik Buterin, but preferably issued by a central bank, right? I think those are the two components. If we would have those in place, then we really can start building.
Okay. Dennis, thank you very much for your support, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.